I actually think it's a great way to start this by talking about this an unbelievable location. Like where,
Hawaii.
And what island? Tell us everything. Give me the address. I'll be there in 15 minutes.
Great. The island of Oahu, which is where I grew up. And,
awesome.
And Ryan, the lead actor here, has been, he spent over 10 years in Hawaii studying, and he was studying Shakespeare at University of Hawaii. So, I was raised in Hawaii and go back frequently to work there. And I'm also based out of LA. So I knew I wanted to do my first feature in Hawaii because it's such a special place. You know, it's home.
And like, that's kind of the dream, right? Is you get a call, not only are you cast in something that is meaningful and can be really transformative for people, but then the location is actual paradise. What was getting the call like?
So Yana and I have worked together before, and when she reached out to me and said, hey, we're shooting a movie, do you want in? I was like, of course. And I didn't know at first that it was going to be in Hawaii. And then when you let me know, I was like, oh,
nice.
Cool.
Yeah, bonus.
Yeah, so it was like a dream. It was like summer camp. It felt like, vacation and doing the thing that you love.
Because movies, like shooting things, are always kind of like that a little bit. You know, it's like you're so immersive and you're embedded with these people and you're so close, acting, sharing your emotions, and then paradise.
Oh yeah, it was an absolute dream. It was actually my bucket list for that year. Every year I write something that I want to do, and this was like, I wrote down I want to go shoot something in like an exotic location, and all of a sudden I got this call and I was like, oh my God, this needs to happen. And it was an absolute dream.
What have you written next? Because clearly whatever you're writing down comes true. So like, what's the next dream? Yeah, that's an actual question. I want to know.
I mean, this year I put on series regular in a show like Last of Us, Walking Dead, something.
Yes, like that. I could see you in that, especially after seeing you in this movie where I was constantly mad at you.
Yeah, I know.
Constantly.
It's easy to do.
I talk a lot to movies. I'm like the worst person to sit next to in an actual theater because I'm trying so hard to be mindful of those around me, but I cannot. I can't be. I'm like, oh, John, no. Did you do this or not? Like, don't happen. I want for people who haven't had a chance to see it yet, because we're at South by and like it's screening here, it's brand new. Let them know what the film is about. Who wants to do our summary?
I'll take the summary.
Do it, Yana. Do it.
The film is about a man who returns home after an accident changed his life forever, and over the course of 24 hours at his sister's birthday luau, he learns of the exact moment and the missing memory where his life took that tragic turn. So it's a family mystery drama with, and we use memory as a story device to tell the story.
And I like that you squared up to the camera too, and you're like, "I'm giving this to you straight."
You did say, tell our audiences what it's about, and I was like, "You know what the movie's about, but they don't know what the movie's about." But
you're connected as hell. I love that. That was great. You were like,
I just take direction, you know.
Yeah,
I was
you do.
like, you know, I'm not going to tell you.
Give it. And so, Ryan, you're at the center of this, and I really felt for your character.
Yeah, it was a complex role to tackle, and again dealing with like memory space and what that is, and you know, you've got two characters here that are dealing with memory in a very different way. One who desperately wants to remember, and one that wants to forget.
Oh yeah,
and there's that antithesis between the two that I think was a really fascinating plot point to tackle.
Right, and to see it kind of unfold. And to, as the audience, like, this is one of those good examples of not having all the information, and you're on the ride with Ryan in a way, like trying to figure it out. Because immediately I was like, wow, this seems like a lot. And you're sitting here in real life and you actually don't have the scar.
Yeah, it's not there.
And I was almost expecting it. And so was that makeup? I feel a little silly asking this question because it's one of the first things I wrote down is like, even that is so striking.
Yeah, it was a prosthetic that we had to put on every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long did it take? I love prosthetic talk.
It was about an hour and a half every morning to get on at least, and to go through that, yeah.
How does putting on something like that give kind of gravity to what you're doing and who you're connecting to in the audience?
That's a great question. It became very tangible to me, and I actually used the prosthetic to sort of key into the character at moments, just being able to feel something and use that as a device to get into character. Actually helped me a lot.
Yeah, I think I could see how it would, and I also for your characters, I could see how even seeing it you might be able to use that as well. So like, how was that for you, John, who I was constantly frustrated with?
I got that a lot when people were leaving the theater last night. Looks of just like,
oh yeah, and it's like, no, I'm Hans.
I'm fine, guys.
I'm an actor.
Yeah, I mean that was great for me because I mean, just him, he was a trigger in himself, you know, which is, I think, a lot of the reason why I push away so much, you know, subconsciously and consciously. I feel like we kind of as humans do this thing where our mind convinces us of one thing, whereas subconsciously we're doing a whole different thing. We go against it completely. So, yeah, the scar was absolutely a reminder of that. I almost couldn't even look at it. It was. Yeah,
I could imagine that because I mean, even the audience, I was uncomfortable. It made me think about what makes me uncomfortable and why. You know, because I think the fear of going through something that what all of your characters are going through is really frightening. Just like you have something 1 minute and the next minute it's just gone, and like, oof, yikes. And so was that really affecting for you too, to see that in real life?
Yeah, for sure. We definitely, I think all three of us have like a different relationship to the scar.
Yes.
But for Meg, I think out of all of them, she is like used to it, you know?
Yeah.
Because she has been taking care of Ryan.
I was going to say, as the peacemaker, it's kind of different.
Yeah, I think that Meg really has to step into the role that her parents had been taking to try to keep the family together.
Yeah.
And
a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
I felt it.
Yeah. Poor Meg.
Yeah, right?
Like, she just wants to have a good day.
I know.
She just wants to have a good birthday.
Shout out to all the Megs out there. Like, for real. And it also just got me thinking on a much less serious note, just about like the greatness of coming together at a family event. And I wanted to ask you all, like, what's your favorite thing to do at a reunion or a barbecue? Like, what was, because that joy does show up in the movie. There are glimmers of that. Like, everybody's hungry for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say, like, definitely gossip about the people that you haven't seen or touched base with in a while that are there. Like, the two, what Leia and McKenna's characters are doing, there's a scene where they're commenting on Ryan, which is not extremely nice, but, you know, what the essence of what I wanted to capture in that scene was, you know, everyone that is so polite and cordial with each other on the surface, and then like their real opinions are coming out when they're like just out of earshot from the individual. And so, like, honestly, it's not like one of my favorite things to do, but like it does happen. I come from a loud Italian family and there's a lot of personality, so like everyone, you know, has their opinion, and you know, we're gonna say one thing to the person's face and something else to the other one. And so that's what I wanted to capture with like the nuances with also the supporting cast, a lot of which are non-professional actors.
Oh,
and back to the scar, one of them actually thought that Ryan, with his prosthetic on, really had a TBI and had a real scar for the first day of filming.
Wow.
Zach thought
well,
that.
we kind of kept the joke going for a while.
Yeah, and then you kept it going. No one on the set.
He kind of didn't know. And I think the last day of filming, he's like, wait, did you actually get an accident?
Yeah.
We kept it going for a long time.
So his reactions, and he's like, hi, I'm Zach. Like, and he's like, he's actually looking at the scar like, oh man, like, let's be delicate. But
I can really relate to that. Shout out to the Zachs in the world too, because I was also like, I can't wait to meet you in real life and talk about this aspect of it, because I didn't know which way it would shake out, which is a compliment ultimately to the performance.
Right.
You know, it just felt very true to life. All of it did. What about you? Like, what's your jam when you meet up with family and sort of get all that stuff gets kicked up? What's up in Hans's family?
Oh man, it's Fortunately and unfortunately, there was a lot I was able to draw from. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings as well. So one of the things about when you have a reunion like this and you meet up with people every year, it's the best memories are formed, and also the wounds of the past.
Yeah.
And no one knows you like your family and your best friends. And especially when you come together in a place like this, which is like paradise, and you have that nostalgia, you also kind of revert back to childhood things.
Totally.
Good or bad.
Yes.
And I think it has a way of showing up, you know, even through what you say, how you interact with your family, but also kind of like with what was going on with me, where it's subconsciously you revert back to things that you don't want to do, and you can feel yourself doing it. But yeah, so my family is, we love hard and we fight hard. That's the way we are. And everything is on the table. Everything is open and out there.
You know what's wild too is that you have all that emotional stuff going on, and it's fun and it's heartbreaking, but then you're also just eating coleslaw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. It's such a strange. What about you? What's your favorite thing?
I have a pretty small family.
Okay, different.
So a few of us, you know, get together for Christmas every year. I feel like this isn't a super fun answer, but I realized in the moment, I think collective trauma as a family.
Right.
Like the things that nobody really wants to talk about, you know, and it'll come up.
Because that's why it does. Because people are fighting it.
Yeah.
And that makes it a thing.
Yeah.
Every time.
So
You have to just point that boat downstream and just like, let's roll our sleeves up and talk about that one time.
there's always like a moment of, oh, we're talking about the thing we wanted to avoid. Or
I'm that person in my family for sure. They're used to it by now, but I'm always the one where I'm like, hey, this is like weird, right? That we're still not fully over this thing. Like, should we just work this out? And they're like, ugh, would you shut up?
Let's
I
not
talk
talk
for
about
a living.
anything, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, what, you'd rather watch television? Boo.
Let's get into it. Like, I want to get into the nitty gritty.
And there's one moment in the movie that really stands out to me, and I wanted to make sure I talked to you about it. Is this like the little gecko? I made a note about that because I was like, was that just a moment captured that was just naturally?
That was CGI.
What?
I'm just kidding. No, it wasn't.
I was like, you got me.
It's a real gecko. We're really, really proud of that scene. We're really thrilled that it came across. It was scripted in the sense that, like, the script that I had, it was like, okay, like, if we find a gecko, Ryan communicates with the gecko. And then he improvised everything in that scene in terms of what you said and communicated to that gecko. But, like, didn't you actually capture it, right? Like, you physically captured the gecko?
We were in the middle of filming a scene. It was in between takes or in between scenes, and the gecko was there, and it crawled onto me, and I said, we can get the gecko moment. And Raph came running over, and he's like, we got to get this shot. And it was like not in the schedule to do that shot at that time, I remember.
Yeah.
He's like, we got to get this shot. And we're working with the sun going down, and we're like, we got to get it quick. And this gecko, I kept trying to put it onto the wall, and
it didn't want to go.
It was crawling all over me.
Didn't want to go.
It was like, I'm in this film. And
what a diva.
I'm going to be the star. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it's such a great moment because I think that it speaks to a lot of things at once. Like, because to me, I was like, wow, this is like the vibe of the island. This is like the only being that this character can really interact with right now. That's all he's got. That's Gecko meeting you with no past, no future. Wow, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like...
So poetic and beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Really?
Amy had written that in, and we were just like, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, the islands wanted it to, for
happened,
sure.
so,
Yeah. I shout out Gecko.
Yeah.
And also, like, the gecko gave us a phenomenal performance.
So good.
A range of emotions on the gecko's face.
I'm going to go on record right now as saying that that's the Academy Award-winning Gecko performance of 2025.
He got a SAG card after that.
1,000%. Yeah, there's literally nothing else we need to talk about because we have established this.